In a faraway kingdom of Machuchu, there lived a very rich family known as the Obalendes. They were not only influential in the society, their affluent state was known wide and far. They harnessed massive lands, animal husbandry, housing, in fact, every kind of money-making activities they ventured into, and they were so successful. Their wealth was a generational wealth. How did they come across such an avalanche of wealth? It was rumored that their ancestors discovered oil in their land, which they sold out to the foreigners to harness this massive wealth. In fact, they were so rich that they were more respected than the king in the village. They lived in a palatial mansion. They have multiple rooms. In fact, the rooms could contain the villages, or rather the villagers as a whole. It was bigger and more beautiful than the king's palace. In fact, the Obalende's family all lived together in the mansion. Due to their avalanche of wealth, they had a lot of maiden servants to attend to their needs, living in peace with no quarrel. The mansion had about 8 brothers, the eldest son being Akon, who happened to be the richest and the head of the clan. However, Akon was uneducated, so therefore he decided to marry Amira, who was highly intelligent and beautiful. He entrusted his lovely wife with the financial dealings of the mansion. I presume that got to her head. Amira became arrogant, disrespectful, pompous, and looked down on her co-wives because apparently they were not educated and were beneath her, even in beauty. She treated them harshly. In fact, her co-wife had to beg her for everything because she was the wife of the eldest in the clan and the decision maker. Amira, on her own part, had a lot of maidens for everything. She lived like a queen, a cruel woman that everyone in the mansion feared her. In fact, anytime she leaves the mansion to the villagers even feared her more than the queen. Even the king respected her personality. Amira had everything: riches, wealth, money, fame, respect, and even fear. But she remained unhappy. She was barren. She had tried several years to get pregnant. She and her husband had gone to the birth hospital because apparently money had never been an issue. But none of the hospital could provide a solution to their problem. Reason why she hated the other women in the mansion because they had children that they could play with. So therefore, she became jealous and envious of them. One fateful day, one of her maid was sick, but was afraid to go and tell her madam, that is Amira. In spite of the maid's sickness, she still cooked and brought the food to her madam. As she was taking the food to her, she fell down, tipped off, and then knocked the food down. Out of anger, instead of Amira to ask the maid what was wrong with her, she chose to beat the maid and chased her out of the house. What a terrible woman Amira is. Please, if you have not yet subscribed to this beautiful channel, kindly click on the subscribe button below. After chasing her maid out, she asked her PA to go get her another maid. After some days, she brought in a young maid to Amira by name Orzi. She was just 19 years and was an orphan, abandoned by her parents at the orphanage home. When Orzi was 16 years, a family adopted her. But something happened after the adoption. They were living in peace, not until the woman who adopted her got pregnant and gave birth to her own child. Immediately, she started maltreating Orzi, forgetting that it was Orzi's presence that brought good luck and a child to her. Orzi couldn't take it anymore she ran away from the house. She couldn't go back to the orphanage home. She stayed in a hut close to the forest. All she does was to go to the farmland and buy foodstuffs directly from the farmers, sell it at the market. That was how Orzi was living, barely surviving. So when Amira's personal assistant came looking for a maid with a handsome payment and bonuses, Orzi quickly took the offer. Orzi was shocked to see her new madam, the fearful Amira. She started working with Amira, but Amira never liked her for obviously no reason. Amira noticed that whenever the other maids were talking and laughing at their free time, Orzi will always be on her own in a quiet place, which made Amira think Orzi was proud and arrogant, not knowing that Orzi had nightmare as a child. The trauma got to her. In fact, at every slightest mistake, Amira will pounce and slap and beat Orzi. But she had to endure because she didn't want to go back to her harsh living condition. One day, Amira wanted to take a bath, insisted Orzi go fetch hot water for her. As she was pouring the water in the hot tub, Amira came out, dipped her hand inside the bathtub. The water was hot. She became very angry, and out of anger, she collected a kettle of water and scattered it on Orzi, who screamed in pain. She quickly removed her gown, and Amira saw a birthmark at Orzi's back. The other maids who heard Orzi scream ran to her and took her to the hospital. Amira was shocked. She stood still, her life flashing in her own eyes. Her mind wandered away to the time when she was younger. Amira wasn't this arrogant and disrespectful. In fact, she grew up in a poor background. She lost her parents and then her aunt took her in. Amira was a beautiful girl, but her auntie's husband made advances at her. She was scared. She didn't know what to do. She reported the auntie's husband to her, but the aunt never believed her until one day her auntie's husband slipped into her room and raped her. She got pregnant, but her aunt chased her out of the house, calling her a wayward child. Amira suffered and traveled for days until she gave birth to a baby girl. She had complications giving birth, but couldn't do anything about the complication. She couldn't go to the hospital because she could not afford the hospital bill. Since she was young and naive, she couldn't still keep the baby. She decided to dump the baby at the orphanage home. But before dumping the child at the orphanage home, she gave the child a birthmark at the back using a stone. And that was the birthmark she saw at Orzi's back. Since that incident of pouring her own daughter hot water, she had sleepless nights and nightmare. She went back to the orphanage and then they traced Orzi back as her daughter. She felt bad and hated herself for maltreating her own daughter. Orzi received the best treatment. She recovered but had a permanent scar on her face. Amira, who shamelessly confessed to everyone at the mansion that Orzi was her daughter. Everybody accepted Orzi, but Amira never forgave herself. Anytime she sees Orzi's face, she wished the ground would open and swallow her. She wished she was nice to people and not wicked. In fact, the incident gave Amira a shock that made her have stroke, which confined her in a wheelchair. That was how Amira was stripped of her title and her delegation. Everyone in the mansion never even looked at her. They began to disrespect and ignore her, acted as if she doesn't exist. Why wouldn't they act that way when Amira never treated any of them with kindness? In fact, That was how Amira ended up confined in a wheelchair, lonely and alone, full of regrets because nobody even looked her way. Moral lesson of this story is always be nice to people because you can never tell what tomorrow holds. Like the adage says, tomorrow is pregnant. If Amira was kind to her maid, she would one day find out that Orzi was her daughter. That child that she craved for, she could have gotten the child and also still be in charge of the financial dealings of the mansion. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this story, please kindly click on the subscribe button and also turn on your post notification so that whenever I upload any new video, you will be among the first to watch it. Thank you very much for watching and do have a lovely day ahead. Bye.